What? Here. Hello, my friends. All right, so today we have a nice, easy, fun, relaxed, chill kind of day, which is what the reward is for all the work during the week. So let's go ahead and stand. Need to get a little bit warm. I'm outside, so I need to warm up before I kind of get down on the ground. So let's just stand for a moment and place your hands on your belly, just below the belly button, and just hang out for a second. Let the breath flow into the spot where your hands down. Make sure the knees aren't locked out, a little bit soft, right? So we can feel the skeleton a little bit. Just sort of tune into the skeleton, right? Drop into that. Let the breath fall in. And just flow out naturally on its own. Now you can drop your hands and you kind of establish that. Keep the eyes closed, however. We're going to kind of drop into the land of sensation, right? So continue that easy breath, just allowing that breath to move in and out on its own. And begin a gentle wafting left and right. Now, there's no intention here of, contracting a lot of muscle, right? In fact, it's almost the opposite. The goal, the intention here, let's just say that, is to just key into how little, in a way, you can do and still accomplish this movement of shifting the weight back and forth. Now you're going to feel a number of things when you do this. You feel, of course, the weight landing on each foot, first one and then the other. And then you also feel the pelvis, right, shifting. So one side of the pelvis will kind of come up and the other side will kind of go down. And then as a consequence of that, you'll also have a little bit of shift in the lower back. It's going to start to do that, a little bit curved, a little bit so that you can keep your shoulders up or level, I should say. And actually, the intention more accurately is to keep your eyes horizontal. This is a major project of the nervous system to keep your eyes horizontal. It's too many people with their heads like that. All right, good. Now let's turn that into a gentle circle of the pelvis. So take it around, continue to move slowly. Now, I want to say this is entirely different from what we might do on a higher intensity day. But the focus is different, right? So we might do a hip circle, on a Monday or a Wednesday or a Saturday. And the intention there is to kind of bring some circulation into the hips, activate the glutes, et cetera, et cetera. Here, we're trying to distill our sensation down. We're trying to distill the movement down to its simplest form. So there's very little parasitic tension, very little parasitic muscle activation. In other words, a sort of extra muscle activation you do. Just doing this nice circle, and then let that circle get a little smaller, so we're kind of spiraling in. Each time you circle around, it's going to get smaller and smaller until you're back in the middle again. Good. Now your middle may be different. You may feel like, oh, it's actually different. Like I tend to stand with my hips a little bit forward. It's very attractive, right? So now the hips are a little bit below my shoulders, which feels more, it feels more dynamic, right? Okay. Good. Now we're going to take the shoulders in a small circle going back. Small circle, right? So again, we might do something like this on a more high intensity class with the intention of creating as large a circle as we can. Here the idea is to move slow enough so you can feel what exactly is making those shoulders rotate. Right? Can you feel the muscles that are responsible, and can you go a little bit lighter? So you're doing a little less to accomplish the same thing. And curiously, you may notice that your jaw starts to relax as you try to distill the movement in. Because often the jaw gets involved in movements that are really anything from here up. It's like, oh, I'm going to help. Let's go the other direction. And it's not helping. It's in fact creating more problems. So now we're taking the shoulders to the front. Maintain the soft knees. Nice. Good. Just move around just a little bit and just feel what you've managed to distill, right? Now you're gonna feel that there's less stuff in the way, right? There's less tension, there's less muscular pain, right? The joints are gonna feel a little freer, just as a consequence of you just doing a little bit of easy movement with focus and with attention. Good. Okay. So let's extend the arms out. What I want you to do is pretend like your wrist is a jump rope, right? So a lot of people might circle their hand like this, right? And that's one way of doing it, right? But I want you to circle the wrist around the hand, right? So in other words, the hand and the elbow are like fixed points and the wrist is going around that. So extend both arms forward like this and do that. So we're going to circle the wrists. So it's a light circling of the wrists to the outside, right? And the fingers are more or less stationary. Let's go the other way. So we're working softly, right? If you work on a computer, these new things, computers, if you work on a computer, you need more of this, right? We need more of this. All right, good. Extend the fingers and let's just gently circle the thumbs one direction. And let's gently circle the thumb the other way. Good. And let's circle the index fingers to the outside. And let's circle them to the inside. And let's circle the middle fingers to the outside. And inside. Ring fingers. How precise can we be about that? And then to the inside. Pinky fingers. Pinky fingers to the other direction. Good. We'll just move the hands and the fingers just a little bit. Feel that nice new awakeness in those digits. Good. And let's come down onto all fours. Okay. We'll come back up in just a moment. Fear not. All right. And just once we're down here, let's just commence this movement where we shift the hips from one side to the other side, finding that nice stretch across the glutes. Don't be too aggressive about it, right? Stay in this mindful place. Mindful place. We're really just going with what feels really good. Don't tip over the edge. So most of the time when you stretch, let's say you go to 90 to 100% of your full range of motion. Here, think more 80 to 85%. Right? So really sticking in with what feels really good. The tension here is to stay connected to your sensation, right? Not go, all right, I'm going to go until it hurts, and then I'm going to go past where it hurts, and then I'm going to keep going and going and going. No, not interested. Not interested. Yeah, there's a time and a place to really push your limits. If you're athletic, or if you're really trying to build some muscle. Some days in here we're doing that, but not today. All right, good. Bring yourself back to the middle. Now take your 2 feet, and you're going to slide the feet apart, right? So you get this kind of knock knee kind of action. And then you're going to cross the feet in the back, and then you're going to go apart, cross your feet, the other foot on top, right? So we're working the rotators of the hip joints, the inside, the outside. Now check on your breath. How are you doing with that breath? Is it still flowing easily, or have you started to hold the breath? Inside and out, working those hip rotators. Good, and then go back to left and right with the hips, and you'll probably feel, after having just moved the rotators around a little bit, that now it's a little easier to move those hips and to activate and stretch through those glutes. All right, good. Now, Let's go into cat-cow. Go ahead. Turn the tailbone up and look up. Turn the tailbone down and look down. Now, what's happening to your ribs when you do this? Can you sense? Feel what's going on with the ribs? Feel that connection between head and pelvis. All right, good. Now, sticking with our sort of pelvic plan here. Did a little of this last week. I want to kind of stick with it again. Slide a knee forward. So you're kind of coming between your hands a little bit. To go all the way, again, we're working with a level of, stretching or mobilization that is 80, 90%, even in the 70% range. Just alternately stretch the leg forward. Almost like, now, we're just staying kind of on top of the leg a little bit, but it's almost like you're going into pigeon, but you're not. You're not. Good. Now we can go knee across ways and the other knee across ways, just sliding the knee different ways and then play around, right? Now there's no form. Now you can go toward the hand on the same side, toward the hand on the opposite side. You can go across yourself. You can go here, across. You can even bring a hip down toward the ground. Make sure, again, we're not doing a big stretch. I can definitely feel stretching, and if I wanted to, I could go into a big stretch there. But, tease that a little bit. Don't be so eager to get to a big stretch, okay? All right, good. Now, take a knee, whatever knee you're doing, slide it forward. Now, slide it forward enough so that foot can loop around the back knee. And now we're in this position with the knees kind of crossed here. And then slide it forward again and uncross it. We do the same with the other side. We slide the other knee forward, cross across, sit back, breathe. And then other side. And then just keep alternating. Keep right on alternating. Just breathe. And enjoy this, right? It's kind of an interesting, unusual movement. We've got rotators, we've got extensors, we've got flexors. Almost no better warm-up that I know for the hips. It's just a great way of getting things feeling good. And by the way, also is going to improve your lower back. Last week I was having the lower back issues. I did this, I taught this, and I got up and I was like, hey, I feel so much better. My back feels better. All right, good. Let's leave that alone for a moment. Nicely done. Good. Let's go back to cat-cow a little bit, round it up. And then bring it down. How's your breath going? Check on the breath. All right, good. Let's take it down just for a moment to a child's pose type thing. I say bring the hands in front of you, about a hand's width between the two of them. Just drop it back. Hang out there for a moment. Find that stretch along the lats. And you can drop one armpit down to the floor, then the other, and then you'll get a nice stretch through there. All right. Let us slowly come over onto the back. Very nice, everybody. Now I'm going to come with my knees bent. That is always an option if you want to do straight legs, you can. And just hang out there and take some support from the floor. You probably just got out of bed. But notice things that are different. in the way that you're lying on the floor, in the way that you contact the floor. Notice what's going on. All right. Let's take the left hand and put it on the front of the left knee. Now, we're just going to take that knee and we're going to steer it around. We're going to create like a circle with the knee. Around. Maybe we could bring the knee even across. Bring it across, then maybe the opposite knee, the left knee, sort of. This knee can move. The right knee can move, right? So just because I'm moving my left knee doesn't mean the right knee can't move. And that's, if I move the right knee, it's going to allow me to come across my body, right? And kind of roll onto my right side. And then I'm going to bring my knee the other way. And I'm going to find my way over onto that left side. Use the right hand if you want on that knee. So what we're essentially doing here is we're steering your weight onto your back and onto your opposite side using that left knee, right? So just steer yourself around, see what's possible, see if you can place even the right knee, the right foot on the floor over to your right side. Right foot on the floor over on your right side. You touch the floor. Good. Now let's return that left foot to standing, and then let's take hold of the right knee and steer the right over to the right and left. Now, what I want you to focus on is the slow and controlled rolling of yourself to the right and to the left, right? Notice that if I go just steering the leg, that I can really control where my whole self goes. Of course, the leg is attached to the pelvis. The pelvis is the center of gravity. So where the pelvis goes, eventually I go. But I want to be able to, feel that connection between moving my knee and moving my whole self, rolling from one side. Right, good. Now leave that alone. Place the feet down. Rearrange myself on the back. And I'm going to take a little pause here. Breathe in my lower belly. Look at the airplane overhead going from Burbank International Airport. Okay, now I'm going to grab hold of one knee in one hand, one knee in the other hand. And now I'm going to do the same thing, but now I'm going to have even more control. Now, some people, when they grab their knees, they're sort of intent on keeping the knees together, very close together. That's not interesting. I want us to be able to work one leg, and then eventually you'll feel that the pelvis comes along, and then the other leg will come along, right? And then we want to go the other way. So feel that control and that slow rolling, really millimeter by millimeter, or atom by atom, as one of my old instructors, Arthur Lesak, used to say. We're moving atom by atom. So as you roll to the side, and then when you roll completely over the side, your head might come along, right? So as I roll from one side, then that leg comes, the pelvis comes. Eventually, I roll over to the other side. And then I feel that the head lifts up, right? Lifts up over to the side. Now, I'm releasing my bottom leg so that the arm could be out of the way, and the arm can also support my head. So if I keep going with that leg, see what happens. You're holding on to one leg. You got your head kind of resting on the arm on that side. Let that leg keep traveling forward and see if it doesn't start to lift your torso up so that you can even come into a side sitting position. That's not the easiest thing, Let's see if you can find that. So if you let yourself come down, forward, and then back onto your back. And then just repeat that same side. So draw the bottom leg up close to your chest. Have the bottom arm on your head. Keep swinging this leg, this top leg forward and then down and back behind you. And then you'll come up easily into a side sitting position. Now, what's important is that you don't make it into a lot of effort, right? If you can't do it without exerting a lot of muscular effort, then don't do it, right? In other words, so if I'm here and I can't figure out how to get further, I'm not going to go strain. I'm just going to keep working. Can I draw this shoulder, this top shoulder forward and let that draw me up in this semicircle to the side sitting? If you're not getting on one side, try it on the other side, right? Everybody's two sides are a little bit different. So holding on to the knee, rolling, there's the arm. Now, and it should really feel quite effortless. It shouldn't feel like a lot of work, right? Nor should it feel like you have to use a lot of momentum to get you to move. It should feel like you can do this with almost no swinging at all. All right, come back to the back. Wherever you are with that is fine. Just leave it. Rest for a moment. Yeah, so that one depends on having a lot of movement in the rib cage. So let's go ahead, extend the arms overhead along the floor, and then just give me a little bit of knees left and right. A little bit of gentle knees left and right. Extending and expanding the ribs. So feel particularly the ribs underneath the armpits, getting some love and attention here. So we're rolling, knees one side, rolling the knees the other side, feeling the ribs rotate. You should not feel this in the lower back. This is not to say you're doing it wrong, but focus that rotation into the rib cage. The more you focus into the rib cage, the more of release you're going to get. Nice. All right, good. Let's rest for a moment. Let's rest for a moment. Forward off my mat here. Onto God's green earth. All right. Just see how you're doing. All right, this is very nice. So we got about 15 minutes to go. Let's roll on to the front side. So take your time to get there. In fact, when you're in the middle, when you're in all fours, go ahead. Let's just cat-cow for a moment. Just see how much that sagittal plane has been affected by the movement, by all that movement we were doing. Excuse me. All right, now let's come down onto the front side. Now, what I want to do here, have the hands in kind of like a push-up position, right? More or less here, not like a chaturanga, not too tight in, but push-up position, a little bit ways out from the shoulder. Now, I'm probably going to do this. Yeah, what we're going to want to do is place the forehead down on the floor, but just so you can hear me, I'm probably not going to do that. So you guys can just place your forehead on the floor. You don't want to break your nose. So if you want to, you can put a pillow underneath your forehead so your head is positioned. Now, take your two lower legs and bend the knees so that the lower legs are kind of pointing towards the ceiling. And now from there, what we want to do is just roll the feet or tip the lower legs to one side and then the other side. Now, when you do that, bring the opposite knee along with you. So you want to pretend the image you want to use is that the lower legs are tied together at the knees and at the ankles. So when I roll to one side, they're going to come along with me. Okay? I mean, the opposite knee is going to come along. Now, this is really important that you don't go too far on this. You definitely don't want to overdo the rotation in the lower back. So take it easy. Rotate and allow the opposite shoulder to push off the ground. So if my knees are going to my right, I can push through my left hand, and then my left shoulder will lift off the ground, and I'm not going to strain that lower back. I'm going to go one way and the other way. One way. Breathe. All right. Good. Let's rest on the stomach for a moment. You can bring the hand. You can put your hand underneath your forehead. Just rest there for a moment. Chill out. Your favorite part of class, right? Just hang out with a little kid, watching TV. However you want to rest. Let that lower back be real soft. All right, place the hands in that push-up position again, and then push and look up in front of yourself, and then come down. So push up, look up the ceiling or the wall in front of you as high as you can a couple times. Don't hurt anything, but just see how far you can go easily. All right, good. Now, once you've made note of that, go ahead and bend the legs again. And then let's go ahead and tilt the legs to one side. Now push yourself a little bit further up so that really both shoulders come off the ground. Let's go the other way. Push yourself a little further up. Both shoulders come off the ground. Push. And we come up. Push. Now, once you pushed a couple of times, here's what I want you to do. Instead of having the lower legs tied together, allow the leg, let's see, if I'm tilting to my left side, or let's say, if I'm tilting to my right side, I'm gonna let my left leg spiral back behind me. So I'm again in that side sitting position. All right, then I'm gonna come back down. And then I'm gonna tilt my legs to my other side. I'm gonna let my right side spiral back, side sit. See if you can find that. Now, just like we were doing on the other, on the back position, I want you to see if you can do this with ease. Okay. So there would be a way of doing this where you're kind of cranking yourself up. I want you to see if you can do it flowing and easily. So you're sitting up really easy. The legs are really making this happen. And then we go the other way. And then we come back. So go left and right a few times. Take it easy on yourself. No strain. Do not strain the lower back. Do not strain anything. Keep it easy. So if you tried it a couple times, let's once again rest. Let's once again rest on the side. Okay. Turn your head to your left. If your head turns to your left, I want you to lift the right leg off the ground. Just lift the right leg off the ground. Breathe as you do that. Good. Now place your left hand underneath your right cheek. Okay. Now lift your right leg and your elbow and your hand and your head up off the ground. We're doing this diagonal lift. Your left hand, which is supporting your right cheek, and your left elbow, and your head are going to lift at the same time that your right leg lifts. So we're finding this connection on the diagonal. Okay. Now a couple times do it with the left leg. See if that's easier or harder. Good. Now let's turn the head the other way. Turn the head to your right. Place your left cheek on top of the back of your right hand. Lift your left leg off the floor. Now simultaneously lift your left leg and your right elbow and your right hand and your head up off the floor. Again, we're working with this diagonal. All right. Rest for a moment. Bring the hands back to push up. Forehead down on the floor. Now look up. Push down and see how far up you can lift now. And if I'm not mistaken, you'll be able to look significantly higher than before. All right. Magic. Good. Let's roll back onto the back for a moment. We'll get up in just a second here. All right, now we've done a lot with the back in that extended position. Let's go ahead and pull the knees toward the chest. Gently. Respect and release. Take the hands and interlace behind the head. Forward. Let's easily roll onto one side. And when you are ready, easily bring yourself up to standing. See how you are. Take your time. And just see how it is to stand. See how you're organized now. And see if you don't feel just a little bit taller. See if your gaze doesn't happen to fall a little bit closer to the horizon than before. Again, I tend to be what? I tend to be this, right? I tend to be this. It's really awesome. So now I feel like more the pelvis is more above my heels, right? And I feel that my head, obviously a consequence of that, is floating a little bit more level. So see if that's the case for you, or you might have, a different experience. Now that you're standing, just walk around a little and see if you can sense a little bit more clearly how your feet contact the floor and how the pelvis talks to the spine and the ribs and the shoulders, and feel the shoulders just nicely hanging out, dropped a little bit. Don't always walk the same direction. I was walking more to my left. I'm going to walk to my right now. Take myself in a little circle here. Good. And come back to central position here. And then just go ahead and rotate through the hips. We're coming back to where we started from. Rotation through the hips. See how that is for yourself. Good. And now let's take the arms in this easy swing. Just a little bit of energy here. That's it. And now let's swing the arms in opposition. Now, if you can, keep going and have the arms touch at the top. Touch, 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 touch. And then eventually let them keep going so they're moving in opposite directions. And then let's go the other way. Huh, 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 huh. Good. And then let's go into rotation. So I'm spreading my feet apart a little bit, looking over my shoulder. And the arms go. I'm breathing. Nice. Look over the shoulder. And then I'm letting my arms come to rest all by themselves. Very nice. Okay, good. Let's move down into feet and ankles, right? So here's what I want. Just take your feet and flex the toes back a little bit, and then press them into the floor. Flex the toes back, press them gently into the floor. Flex back, press into the floor. Now feel how the weight shifts forward and back as you do that. Do not hold your breath. Let the breath flow in and out. So just notice how this little movement of the toes is going to affect your whole self. So if you're ever just like, oh, toes don't matter, toes matter a lot, right? So it's interesting. Most of us tend to grip the toes on the ground a little bit, like scared that we're going to fall over. And then we tend to, I'll throw myself under the bus here. My weight tends to be forward. My hips tend to be forward, right? But if I bring my weight back just a little bit more and stop insisting on driving myself into the world, right? Letting the world come to me a little bit, right? My weight's going to go over my heels a little bit more, and my toes are going to be able to be a little more supple on the floor. All right, very nice. Good. Let's play around with the one we often do, where we're tilting the ankles left and right. But now that we kind of, again, dialed up the sensitivity, the awareness, we can do that same familiar movement with a little bit more precision, right? So I'm tilting onto the inside of my right foot and the outside of my left, and then vice versa, right? So I'm on that sort of wafting ship at sea or that subway car, and I'm shifting, and the ankles are rolling. Now what I want you to do is slowly roll a little bit less, a little bit less, a bit less. And then we're going all the way to stillness. It's very good. Shoulders are nicely dropped. Now just go through a little bit of gentle sort of shaking so you can feel just how out of the way the muscles are now. How the tension has been dialed down on the machinery, on the whole organic system, almost to zero, right? Not to say you're just a total noodle, right? There's tension in the body, otherwise we would collapse on the ground, right? But there's so much less now. Now we feel, oh, it's how little you actually have to do to stand, right? So I feel like I could just stand here like a tree all day and feel connected to the ground, feel a nice ease, and feel that my breath would not be impeded, right? So just sense, look, this is how you can move through your day. This is how you move through your life with just a lot less sense of tension, sense of effort, right? Not to say that attention effort is bad. We need that sometimes, but we need an appropriate amount, right? So it's always the choice to work hard or to work less hard. Move with ease, move with extra tension, right? So today in particular, see if you can dial up that sense of ease, that sense of like, oh, it's all fine, right? And that starts with the kind of physical ground and physical sensation of lack of tension, right? Okay, folks, thank you very much for being here. Stephen Schilling and Giselle, I really appreciate everyone being here. So tomorrow we're back to the fun stuff. It's all fun, of course, the intense stuff. And Sunday we have strength class, so come to that if you can. Have a great Friday, and I'll see you soon. Bye.